Hi, this is Dodger, and you're watching my show. So it's been a while since we've done a gaming news video. It's been about a week and a half, but unfortunately we're using the webcam instead of the really nice camera today because I can't get around very well. I'll go into it more extensively on coffee time, but essentially I fell and landed kneecap first onto a brick, and it was excruciating, and I thought for sure that the pain would go away after like an hour, or at the very least it would just be a little bit sore. It's like still hard to walk, so fingers crossed that that gets itself sorted out so that I don't have to go to a doctor or something. Either way, I'm fine if I'm at the computer, so let's do this. So first piece of news that I was going to talk about, but we wound up kind of covering it pretty extensively on the podcast, is Black Isle's crowdsourcing project. I'm not going to talk about it a whole ton because, again, I've already talked about it a bunch today, but essentially they're being kind of like sketchy and weird about asking for money for their new project. They're doing it under the name of Black Isle, but there are only a couple of people from the original Black Isle team. How you doing, kitty? It's weird because basically they're asking for money, but they're not giving any specific details about what game they're making, and you don't get anything in return for giving them money, regardless of how much you pay, which is silly. Anyway, if you decide to help them out with the project, that's obviously totally up to you, but I would say do some research, maybe wait for a couple more updates before you do, because it's so vague right now. It's just weird. Any of you that have been playing a lot of Far Cry 3, perhaps you've been waiting for a patch to fix the interface a little bit. That patch has finally come out. The big one, of course, has to do with notifications. They're able to make it so that you don't get those pop-up notifications all the time that ruin the gameplay, thank goodness. Overall, there were just a lot of fixes that pertain to small things and big things, so just the experience of playing the game in general should be a lot nicer. If you were not in the StarCraft Heart of the Swarm beta and you happen to pre-order the game before December 18th, you should have access to the beta right now. If you pre-ordered the game after the 18th, you will still probably be able to get into the beta, but it will happen in waves. So if your wave doesn't hit until the game's already out, then oops. Remember guys, there's always a good reason to pre-order a Blizzard game. These are your life tips right now. And if you never heard the announcement, the game comes out in March. So awesome. As a final bit of news, I don't know how many of you have played the game Tweeria, but it's in all sorts of hot water right now. So it was just a really fun experimental game that's linked to your Twitter. It's called the laziest MMO ever, and basically you hook it up to your Twitter, and every time something happens on there, you tweet, somebody retweets, anything. It affects your game in Tweeria, and your hero like defeats monsters or whatever else. You literally don't do anything in this game. So unfortunately what's happened now is this game has kind of taken off. People think that it's really fun because, you know, it's easy and it's based on social currency. So what went wrong is that a lot of their artwork was pulled from other sources like Blizzard. So the bigger that it gets, they're replacing things, but basically their response to anybody who's approached them about it has been, we didn't think it would get this big. And a lot of people are saying, well, I mean, that makes sense. Like, why would you commission a whole bunch of artwork for a game that was an experiment that you didn't think was actually going to turn into anything, that was just to see whether or not it would work? And on my end, it's kind of like, well, no matter what, you shouldn't use other people's artwork. Even though, at the bottom of the page, they do say, all of this artwork is by so-and-so and so-and-so and so-and-so. I think you can really only get away with that in a closed situation. Like, if it is not open to the public, if it's just open to a few friends of yours, and you're like, yeah, you know, I didn't want there to be stick figures, so I used this World of Warcraft art, but it helps you kind of get the idea. Then I get it. If it's open to the public, you need to replace it with something else. Or at the very least, you need to contact an artist and say, hey, I really want to feature your art on this thing. It might not turn into anything at all, but I'll link to you, you know, etc., etc. I think that that would have been a much better idea. Anywho, that is my show. Thank you so much for watching. If you have a positive or negative response, feel free to leave it in my comment section. And if you want to have coffee with me, you can click wherever I put the annotation and it'll take you to my other channel. But otherwise, I am gonna go put my leg up and watch some TV, and I hope that you guys had an amazing day, and I will talk to you again on Friday. Bye-bye. Mwah.